Hello guys, welcome to Breach the Breach, a podcast by ISME where we talk about an entrepreneur's journey. I, Greeshma Gala and Aarsh Savla are your hosts for the day. Today we have Mr. Maulik Bengali, the founder of Ajackus, with us. Ajackus serves as the directory for all engineering needs by building tech teams that are swiftly hired. Maulik, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, starting with the first question, what can you tell us about your life in college?
Sure. I think I've had a dual life in college. If I talk about my junior college, I was very studious. I was focused on scoring really well in CET, so I could secure a good college. And DJ was always on my radar. And luckily, I could do that. And once I got into DJ, I felt like I've made it, and now I wanted to enjoy a bit, have some fun, and I was not reckless, but I became a bit complacent in terms of how I took my studies. I never had a KT. I scored first class, but I would always take pride in studying least and getting good scores in return, and I was happy with that. So that summarizes how I did my 4 years at DJ. Yeah.
So,
So you were in DJSCE College of Engineering. So were you like always like even when you were in school? So when you were in school, did you always think of, oh, I'm going to give my CT or I want to give my JEE and I want to join an engineering college? Was this always a career path for you in terms of like I want to do an engineering course?
Not really. I did pursue biology as well in my CET. So I was not sure whether I'm going to pursue engineering or become a
So you were a
doctor.
PCBM student?
You are right. I am a PCMB student. I did give a
Oh.
biology CET as well. Uh, yeah, I did definitely score much better in my PCM than in my PCB, and I was really good at math, so that also pushed me more towards engineering. Uh, yeah.
Okay, so was it due to the peer pressure around you in the school days? So because like I'll tell you about my experience. So yeah, the friends around me were talking, no, bro, you have to do engineering, you have to take science, bro, don't take commerce. There's no scope and this. So did you hear similar things, or was it a complete different thing for you?
It was similar. I think there was still a buzz around whether to choose engineering versus being a doctor. There were these two options that were primarily discussed in all circles, whether you're talking with family, friends, or whether you're talking with peers. In retrospect, I don't regret my choice of being a computer engineer. I feel really passionate about it and the kind of impact it can create in this fast moving world. But yeah, I definitely think I had less to do with that choice than what others had around me. And being good at maths just pushed me in this direction, but it could have gone anywhere. And if I had to do it all over again, maybe I would choose something else. I would choose architecture or something more creative. Yeah.
That's interesting. Completely different to,
Yeah.
yeah.
What was your experience? Were you did you face similar thing? I think we are at least 8 years apart. If, uh,
Yeah. So my experience was like I've been always like I'm a car geek when I was
okay.
at least in school. So I always wanted to be like I want to be an engineer. So in like automobile or engineer, yeah, mechanical engineering, yeah, production engineering, something in relation to that. So I have
Okay.
always been a car geek and I always wanted to do something in relation to automobiles.
Okay.
So now let's see what happens. Still 1 year
Nice.
left.
Got it. Cool.
So, were you part of any like a cultural team or any hackathon in college? What was your experience there?
Was not, and to be honest, I'm not proud of that. I should have taken more participation in these events, not just in terms of participating, even organizing them. I think those are great experiences, and I would highly recommend that everyone take that seriously. It presents an immense opportunity to grow on how to plan things at that scale, and that can help you really well. And as you go into professional world, and you have to plan things with more money and with more impact. So I did not do that, but if I'm given a chance again, I would actually do that. I missed that part.
Okay, so in hindsight, as you said that you would have done a cultural fest or some fest of some kind, some extracurricular activity along with your studies. So yeah, so now in hindsight, like, why do you say this? Like, why do you say this that I should have done this? Would you say like it would have changed your perspective a little bit during the college days, or it would have helped you a little bit better? And like, what ways do you feel it would have changed?
So I see organizing an event is very much like running an activity for a business or growing a business. Like you have so many different aspects to handle, how to bring different people together on the same page, how to communicate, how to create the same expectation on all sides to the organizers, to the people who are going to participate, and seeing it through, plan for it, and see it never goes as you plan, but still see how it went, retrospect on it, learn from it, and do it better the next time you get the chance. So it's something you do so many times in the professional world. It's very important that this experience helps you gauge that activity in the professional world really well. Uh, so in terms of not just your core skills, sometimes you end up thinking only in terms of your core skills as an engineer, whether I'm able to have this particular skill in my area of expertise. For production engineers, one thing; for computer engineers, learning something related to technology on that side. But it is important to see all other aspects of running a business, and I think that comes alive with organizing an event. Networking, relationship building, coordination, collaboration, communication, public speaking to some extent. So all these are extremely important attributes to work on, to grow, and that can give you significant benefits compared to core skills, as much as core skills, if not more.
Yeah, so I actually think of a point here, like when we say like organizing a committee, as you pointed out, we can say it's a first step towards a startup because there you're planning and executing something which you have thought. So
Correct.
do something in a startup just on a much big scale. So if we have experience, so that helps.
I agree. I cannot agree more. It is organizing an event is similar to running a very small startup. You can take all different kinds of responsibilities, maintaining some basic P&L to making sure that things are all in control. So yeah, it is definitely a very good substitute to getting a startup experience.
The reason we are pushing on this point is because like many of the listeners who would be our DJ alumni and the DJ students, so many of them would be in their second year. So yeah, we would like them to like join some committees or do something like that because we both have experienced what you were saying as exactly like experiencing different things like how to approach a sponsor. It can be as basic as that, but even to approach that person, it's like takes a lot of that for the first time it happens. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I'm sure it took Grishma some guts to reach out to me and people similar to me who you are podcasting with, to set the right context, do the communication, learn from it. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you are also growing as you schedule each podcast. This is also an event organizing activity for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I totally second that thought, and I would highly recommend that everyone should take participation in these events in whichever way possible and try to see how you can contribute. It is also about teamwork. It's not about you being able to do everything. It's about how you fill the gap right. Uh, and learning the teamwork is the most basic skill that you can learn, which will be useful for the rest of your life.
Okay, so as we are talking about education, while going to your profile,
Hmm.
we noticed that you completed your management in 2018. That's nearly 8 years after your college. So
Yeah.
first, you chose an Indian university, IIM. Why
Right.
an Indian university and why 8 years after completing education? Again, you want to pursue the management.
Uh, So in those 8 years, we transformed from being a boutique development company to a company who was more mature to handle business requirements. But I think I was feeling stuck in terms of how to grow the company right going forward. I saw that need that I need to gain some insights into how people grow the businesses. And out of that need, I joined the executive MBA at IIMB. And choosing an Indian college, I think when you are ready to learn something, it doesn't matter where the learning comes from. You just try to see what uh, fits your schedule or your what fits your requirement the best. You definitely try to gauge in terms of the past experiences that people have had. And when it comes to IIM, I think it's definitely at a world standard. I didn't have to think twice. I had to go through an application process, selection process, and was very confident that the kind of learning that I was looking for, I will get from that university. So it was a no-brainer for me. But again, I'll focus back on the need that what you want solved for yourself. And if you approach the learning in that way, then you will be able to participate in that entire activity with these are the answers that I need to find. So that was my need that I wanted to learn how to grow my business right.
Oh, so the other thing I want to ask you, as you said, you like it, IIM was a clear choice for you, which makes
Mhm.
sense to be honest. Like it's one of the biggest B schools in India. But like why was it some of the things you considered IIM over like a business school and abroad, like let's say in USA or let's say in UK? So like what are the reasons you eliminated? Like what was the process of elimination like, and how did you navigate through that? Because many of our students like who are doing a connecting course from undergrad to directly a graduation course, so we also have to navigate to that. So if you can help us with your perspective, it will be helpful to us as well.
Correct. I think every university these days is focusing on global perspective, and IIM did the same. It did have one module in HEC Paris as well, which is something I again look forward to and gain the global perspective. So I would definitely recommend going into a program which has that global focus, where you go on campus abroad and can gain those insights as well. Uh, Me choosing IIM was definitely one of the reasons was that I was trying to grow business in India. India has certain demographic, cultural eccentricities, and it's best to gain insights from the people who have thrived in this environment. Uh, and most of the professors at IIM, they are world leaders, not just leaders in India, but they have gained insights from how to help businesses in India grow to a next level. So that was my perspective that I will hear from those people who are closer to my needs, to the problem, to the demographic where I'm trying to grow my business. Uh, and they'll be able to give me the same insights. I'm sure like professors in other countries as well would be able to give the same learning, but sometimes the examples, the context is different. So it was just something that I thought would be closer to what I'm trying to build here in India. Our offerings are uh, for clients abroad, but we are trying to grow a business in India. We create a community of engineers and build teams out of it. So it's really important to understand how we can serve engineers really well and enable accelerated growth for themselves, and that would enable the growth for us. Does
Yeah,
that
so
answer your
basically it
question?
comes down to where you wanted to stay. So like if you wanted to go in abroad and build a
True.
company there, you would have done a big school over there. Like it does make
Uh,
sense now that you say it.
yes.
Um, uh, yeah, so that was very interesting and very helpful to get some insight into that. Like I would also ask you like what motivated you to start your startup, and you went from an employee to an employer. So that transition, I wanted to talk about that transition a little bit, and how did you get your idea for a startup, and where did you see a gap in the market, and you saw like, okay, now I need to start the startup because I've tried the other things available, but I feel I can excel in this.
Got it. Uh, the startup, Ajackus also started with the need of me looking for an accelerated growth. I was really passionate about technology and how it can build solutions that can change the world. Uh, but I wanted to grow myself first in it, and later it slowly transitioned into a purpose where I want to help other engineers get the similar accelerated growth and a much more well defined path to success, which I did not have when I came out of college. So it started as a need for me to find my accelerated growth by serving clients with their technology requirements, and it has transitioned into this how we can help engineers all over the country become successful remote engineers, which can collaborate with anywhere, with anyone anywhere in the world, and can build products that will change the world. At the end of the day, everyone is trying to create an impact, right? If I tell you that I'll give you 1,000 rupees versus I say this podcast will have 1,000 views, you will gladly choose that. No, I want this podcast to have 1,000 views. I have created this view and I did this podcast and I want it to be there in the world, creating an impact, spreading the message that I want to spread. So it's about creating an impact, and I want to enable engineers to create that impact through a well-defined framework. That's what Ajackus is trying to do today. So it has evolved into this idea slowly. I did not have a very well defined uh, way of addressing a need for someone else but myself, but slowly it evolved into something more than that.
So would you say it's like you are trying to build a community of engineers who can work in India as well as in abroad, especially considering this is a pandemic. So like it stands to so much right now because people cannot travel anywhere, and like it feels like the startup completely like basically fits into the pandemic in some ways.
It does. So it is about work. The location is irrelevant now, right? With pandemic, you can work with anyone anywhere in the world. But do you think you have all it in you to know how to make it work perfectly or in the best way possible? So how do you transition from yes, I'm willing to work with anyone to yes, I'm able to work with anyone in the world, and celebrate the differences as well. There are so many learnings along the way when you start working with global teams. You have to navigate the cultural differences, time zone differences. The technology is least of your problem, right? Yeah, that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to make sure that everyone is very confident of working with anyone, anywhere in the world. And if they have that confidence, then all the opportunities that lie ahead with pandemic, things are moving more and more remote. Uh, it is going to be about community. It is going to be about how you can contribute to the cause that you believe in, uh, right? So that's what we are enabling.
Okay, so did you always want to start a startup? Like we see that you were employee first and then you transition. So was it always your dream to have something of your own?
It wasn't. I joined TCS right out of college. Wanted to gain an experience in how things work, but I did not get that growth that I was seeking. So I took a difficult decision to come out of TCS. I took 50% pay cut. I was on a barely 15,000 per month salary when I came out of TCS. I really had to prove myself that this is the right decision. My parents helped me to it, but that that difficult decision led to me gaining confidence that I can go to a company, a very small company, wear different hats, do all kind of things. I was working 14 hours a day, but I was really happy with the kind of impact I was making. I could work on all different types of things, and that experience helped me gain more and more confidence. I did one more job at an advertising company, and I gained enough confidence to for myself to know that now I can start my own thing. I know how to wear all different hats, be a founder, be an entrepreneur, and justify the requirements that a new startup would have.
So did you join the B school so that you could grow your startup, like grow your business basically in a easy way, like in some ways? Was that the reason you did your B school post graduation, or was it something else?
No, it was definitely that. I wanted to grow my business. It was a bit stagnant. We definitely were gaining more expertise, but we were not growing in terms of getting more clients. Or, I, in retrospect, I was just too involved into the operational and technical side of things. And this is something, an insight I got from the first lecture at IIM. We had a professor, Professor Srinivasan, and somehow she figured that I was facing that issue, and she pointed at me and saying, you are that founder, you are that entrepreneur that always focuses on tactical and operational tasks, and your value is just 400 rupees an hour, nothing else. And what she was trying to say is there are four types of tasks in an organization. There are operational, tactical, strategic, and governance. As a founder, as an entrepreneur, you need to focus on the strategic and governance tasks because nobody else will if you are not doing that. And you are too good to do the operational and tactical tasks. So if you are continuously doing those tasks, you will take the satisfaction out of it that you are achieving something, but actually you are not going in the right direction. You are just uh, you are really good at doing something that you are doing, but your company, your startup is not going in a direction because there is no direction that none anybody has thought of.
So,
So
sorry. So did you consider delegating your job of the things? For example, as you said, you were struggling in the operations part of it. So did you try like think about delegating the job or hiring someone or having a partner and giving them that job title of focusing on you focus on operations, I'll focus on this. So it's basically controlling the company in simple, like two people are controlling that company in some ways.
true. I think you summarized it well. That's what I ended up doing. But how to go about it in the right way is also again an insight that I wanted to gain. Uh, the Ajackus has grown organically. It has never taken an investment. So growing a business organically has its own challenges as well. Every hiring decision you make, every uh, has has an impact on your cash flows, and
Yeah.
it can have significant consequences, right? So yeah, I think it. I just want to make sure I understand what are the right ways, gain more insights in from the people who have been there, who have done that, and use those insights to continue to grow the company organically. That was my focus.
So seeing where your company is now, like right now in its state, so like as you said, you have to grow it organically and you have to be very careful. So like since you, as said, you didn't raise any capital, so like did it come to a point where you had to be so careful that every penny and every resources you use from the company, you have to be like very sure and you have to like put 10 times your mind into it so that you don't make that decision wrong because that penny might count something else in the later on in the future.
True, and I think it has been this all along. Any business you are trying to grow organically, and even if it's not being
Would
grown
you say that has
organically,
helped you a lot as compared to raising a capital and having large sums of money at your disposal as compared to not having it?
it has helped me being more careful about every decision I make. Definitely, I'm not saying what I'm trying to say is even if you raise capital, you still have to be careful in the same way. So if in future we raise capital, this experience of being careful all the time will just help me continue to be careful and count each penny as this is the penny that I'm answerable for. Uh, so yeah, it definitely has helped me. I'm glad that we have grown business to this size without taking a single penny. But at the same time, the important learning is to make sure that you always value and you take your decisions in an informed way. You're not just taking decisions because you have a need. You need to do your background checks on what are the right ways to do it. Then take a decision. Also, there are two types of decisions, right? There are type 1 and type 2 decisions. In a startup, you always, type 1 is an irreversible decision and type 2 is a reversible decision. So in startup, agility is also very important. You can't always just keep thinking and not take a decision, correct? So you always divide your decisions into two types. If it's a type 2, it's okay if you fail. Take a decision, learn from it, and take a different decision next time. Type 1, think about it, take an informed decision because it's going to be an irreversible decision. So these are the things that you focus more with limited capital. Also, you are always trying to make sure that the business is not stretching itself too much. It is creating opportunities and trying to make most of it. So balancing the side on the both fronts is also another learning that will definitely help me irrespective of the way this goes further.
So Ajackus, I read that Ajackus has three founders, right? So how
Correct.
did you all find each other? Because thinking of an idea, it's like a baby do. You don't want it to get spoiled. You want each and every
Yeah.
person to contribute and make it grow. So how did you all find each other?
Yeah, great question. I've been lucky in that regard. One founder whose name is Nirmal, he's a childhood friend. Our fathers were childhood friends as well. So it just came to us that we are also childhood friends. So there is this inherent trust. He handles the business side of things. And the second co-founder is Rahul, who handles the technology side of things. He was with me in DJ Sanghvi. So we have done our computer engineering together. And I'm sure I don't have to tell you anything about how you build friendships during those college years, right?
Yeah,
Right. So these
yeah,
are friends
almost
for
like
life.
extended family.
Exactly, exactly. Could not put it in a better form. So yeah, so there is inherent trust, but more importantly, they are also equally passionate about the problem that we are trying to solve, and that's the insight that I would just give. That you need to find people who are equally passionate about the problem, because there will be, without a doubt, challenges where you will doubt yourself, where you will doubt whether the startup is worth pursuing. Uh, uh, and in those difficult moments, you need people who believe in the idea, in the world that you have seen, that your startup will create. And if you have that belief together, then I think those people will sail through and you will have your startup bloom eventually. So it's important that you have people on board who are passionate about the problem that you are trying to solve.
So, talking about the problem, where did you first see the problem and thought, oh, yes, this needs to be solved and this is something I can do and contribute to the society?
So in myself, as I said, I came out of college, I have no idea what to do. If I look at, even if today, say, I don't think you have solved the problem completely, but even if you look today and you search like what stage the engineer reaches after 10 years out of college, I don't think you will be like, this is what I want to be. But on the same side, if you look at uh, on the CA side of things, like every CA would say, I want to be partner at a top four firm. That's the dream that they work towards, right? We don't have something similar on the IT side. There is no dream that you're pursuing. So we are trying to build that dream and at the same time give a very well defined path to that dream. Uh, so we did not have that. How can we create that for engineers that are our future engineers? And when they come out of college, they know, okay, if I walk this path, I'll reach this particular dream, and I'll create a really good life for myself and for
Basically,
everyone around.
helping them like for those who are like as you said very well put together, like a CA will know where he wants to go eventually, because the ultimate thing is to work at a big CA firm or have his own firm, something like
Correct.
that. Yeah, so
Correct.
but for us engineers, it's like I would say, like as you described, that we don't have a similar path, and I really resonate with that, because in like I right now in third year, and like the amount of peer pressure I hear around me, that I want to give this exam, I want to give this exam, you have to give GRE, you have to give GATE, you have to do directly you have to directly do a postgraduate course after a graduate course, something like that. So you know, as you said, like it's helped them, at least you have some option at the end of the day. Like it
Correct.
relieves the pressure and stress so much when you talk, when you say, put it like that, yeah, at the end of the day we have a path for you guys.
Correct. And now, since location is more and more irrelevant, you doing some particular type of work, being in one place versus you going to US or some other place and doing that work, you should have an option to do the same kind of work from anywhere in the world. And we are trying to create that in India. As simple as that. I'm sure, I mean, we have heard so many stories where people do masters and they are doing exactly the similar type of job that the people would do if they directly join our company right out of college. I'm not saying the masters is not helpful. uh, I'm saying you need to have a clear path of what you are doing that masters for, and if that's going to give you the opportunity, that's going to be different than the opportunity that you are getting here. Correct. uh, yeah, that's what we are trying to create. Instead of right now how an engineer dreams of going to US, doing the masters, and then joining a global opportunity of a startup and creating an impact. Why that is not possible here? That's we want to make that possible here itself.
So, talking to this, like as you said, you can work anywhere, to anywhere in the whole world.
Hmm.
In India, I personally think the market is great because it will have a really great opportunity for all the engineers who dream of working in US companies, but maybe due to family issues or financial issues can't go there and can't afford the leaving. it's a dream come true for them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our value proposition to all the engineers, that we find them global opportunities, and these global opportunities will enable accelerated growth for themselves, which they see that if they go to US and then find an opportunity, they'll find that. But we are going to find that growth for them here.
So talking about your companies, you have more than one startups, right? So can you tell us more about them? Like, why did you jump from one to another? Because they are in different fields.
You're right. So I'm passionate about technology because it can create an impact in any area of the life. And I feel I am very close to travel. I'm an avid traveler myself, and I found this problem in the travel industry where it was not easy to do the visa applications. And as an Indian passport, which is not strong, uh, I always had to go through this long, tedious visa application process. And I thought this can be addressed with technology, and that's why I founded Visa Guide. So that startup operated for 3.5 years. But due to pandemic, it is almost right now non-operational because there is no travel these days. Uh, but in retrospect, I think it is important that you focus on one idea at a time and grow it to a scale where it is independent, it has right people in it before you jump onto something else. That in retrospect, that's the learning that I've got. Uh, it's difficult to focus on two things and grow it together. Uh, of course, once you have enough talent, enough resources to pursue, and then you are going at two ideas, that's a different thing. But initially, when you are in your 20s and you're trying to build a startup, you are passionate about an idea, focus on that one idea that you are really passionate about, and don't divide your focus. That would be my uh, even without pandemic as well, even if that startup was operational, I always was divided between my responsibilities in Ajackus versus Visa Guide. And that definitely slowed down the growth that Ajackus could have had. Like today, where we are, we could have been here 2 years earlier if Visa Guide wasn't there. Nothing to regret, but again, to learn out of it. There are learnings that you get from every failure, and those learnings you apply to all the future work, and that also helps you. But yeah, initially you need to be focused on one idea that you're passionate about and really deliver on it before you go to the next one. That would be my advice.
I think this advice is really great because we as students try to cover many things at a time and
Yeah,
end up not covering most of them because
yeah,
it's just run everywhere. You don't know what to complete and what time to complete. So I think
correct.
that's a great advice for us in our life and in our academic, all the aspects I can say.
Yeah. In terms of execution, you will always find yourself. Everyone has 24 hours, right? You won't be able to create more time. Trust me, I've tried. So you have to choose between priorities, and when you are choosing between priorities, you don't want them to be divided between two different ideas altogether. That's how I would summarize that. You would want it to be you are fighting between priorities of the same idea, not of two different ideas.
One last question I had about visa guide. So you talked about like you saw this gap in which you found the visa acceptance process very difficult. So you found the gap in the market. So what was your proof of concept? Like how did you like saw that okay now this can be a viable business decision like as compared to being an idea from being an idea to a startup? Like what was that journey like for you?
Uh, Clearly, there was a problem. I don't think we understood the solution really well because we were not from the travel industry. We did not have any networking in there. We did not know the right people who can help us bring those insights on how to build a solution. Uh, so the problem was there. We asked anyone you ask, they will say that visa application. Even today, it is a problem. It is the nature of the problem. Is more dependent on the immigration and at government level, where as a startup, you cannot create an impact faster than what they are willing to do. So you have to make sure that you are building your solution around the limitations that those processors have. Uh, uh, so that's where we were a bit locked in terms of the impact we can create. We had to always build a solution around the limitation of the processes that were there, and we had no way to impact those processes right way. Uh, yeah, uh, it is really important that you do a good market research on whether your problem exists and how much uh, person is willing to pay for that problem. Uh, those
Also,
two are
also the number of people who are going to pay for that service, because at the end of the day, it's going to be a business.
exactly. So a business has to be always about geometric progression, not arithmetic progression. And I
Can you
think we,
elaborate on that?
yeah, sure. So Visa Guide always had growth, but it was a growth of 10 to 20% month on month. But that is an arithmetic progression that your money, if you put in banks, banks will also give you that. So why take risk? Correct. So business needs to be always about how do I go from 1 to 10 in shortest amount of time possible. It has to be geometric progression and how it goes from 10 to 100 in the same time. So you need to focus on an idea and creating a value in a way that it has that geometric progression. Otherwise, it's not worth taking the risk.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So most of your clients being from foreign companies. So how do you approach them? Like, what was your first client and what was your feeling when you approached them?
Uh, yeah, such a connected world, it's so easy to reach out to anyone. But I was lucky to know someone in the company in US, and we got our first project through them. But it is important to note that however you reach out to the right person, whether through your relationship, to your network, or just randomly giving them a message, it is important to follow up on that conversation with delivering what value you can create. You have to show them what you can bring to the table. That is very important. Then only it can grow into an opportunity, and that opportunity can grow into a growth story. So it's important that you, once you know where your strengths are, you clearly define what you can bring to the table, and then you reach out to the right people. I'm sure it is very easy once you define those things to find people who are willing to listen to what you can bring to the table. Okay, at least reach out to 20. I'm sure there will be one or two who will want to hear back from you, learn more from you, what you can do. You have to grab those opportunities, build on it, deliver the value, and build the relationship further. And if you do good work, then they'll refer you to someone else, and and you can start that chain. So it is important that you start with introspection of how you are good at creating some value. Once you are really confident on it, reach out to the right people, even if you don't know them. There are today's like I did not have LinkedIn networking in that time. It was just getting started, but today it's like it's so easy to reach out to anyone, anywhere in the world, even a world leader as well, right? You can just write messages to them through these platforms. Um, Not everyone would reply, but someone would, and that's where you would find your opportunity. So you have to keep trying till you find that right opportunity.
Okay, so coming to your company's name, Ajackus, it's such a unique name. So how did you come up with that and what's the story behind it?
Yeah. So it's combination of two words. One is Ajax, which is something that changed how internet worked in 2005. Before 2005, we had these internet websites who would load one at a time. Like if you click on a link, it would go to the next page, and you would have that white page in between. Uh, Ajax changed it. It made sure that whatever sophisticated interactions you have today, whether you see it on the app or even on the web, they are all driven by Ajax. Uh, so it was something that was really revolutionary, and we see it today as well. We use it today as well. And the second word is abacus. That is the first simple computer that humans built. So it is combination of Ajax and abacus, something that's revolutionary yet something it's very simple. It's important that you maintain the simplicity in the solution. Uh, So that was the thought process behind the name.
Okay, yeah, that's what that was very interesting. Like simplicity, and in the complexity, you find the simplicity. So yeah, uh, the other thing I personally wanted to ask was like right now we both are in third year, and as I talked about the peer pressure before, so what would you say to the person who is still confused about whether to go for directly going for a postgraduate program, whether it be whether it be a business school program or a master's course, or directly joining a job? Like these are the three options we have, mostly we hear and have around us.
Hmm.
So what would you say to that person to like navigate through that process and help, like from what I've heard is like you can either do two things. You can be sure about what you want to do, or second is you have to do process of elimination. So what would you say to the person who's confused and doesn't know what he wants to do, and like has to navigate through that process?
Yeah, I think we all have.
Because you
I've been
did your master's course in business school after 8 years, so clearly
correct.
you must have also faced the same issues when you were in a third year or a fourth year, and after graduation you must have thought of I should do a PG course or not. So what was your feeling like at that time, and how would you suggest people today to do?
Whether you enroll yourself in a master's program or whether you go for a job or something else, I think it's important to know that you will never stop learning, or at least you should never stop learning. Even whether you are doing a job, you will have to enhance your skills by learning something on the side. If you're doing masters, I'm sure it will involve a lot of learning, and you will have ways to implement that as well, if not in the real world, in the assignments that you do, in the projects that you do. So it's that attitude that you need to grow, whether you are going for a job or you're going for a master. If you know what kind of profile you want to work on, if you have that clarity, if you know I'm passionate about this thing, go for a job because you have identified that this is something that I can work on. Reach out to people who are doing that particular role, who has opted for a job through your alumni network or similar. What is their day-to-day role like? What kind of things they work on? If their explanation excites you, you are ready for that job. If their explanation doesn't excite you, you can do the similar thing for someone who is doing an MBA course and then they have taken a job, and whether that explanation excites you or not, right? There is a very data driven way of taking an informed decision, and you can reach out to those people who are going through those experiences, learn about what their day to day. Anybody you reach out to and ask them, it's like what does your job responsibilities include? So that does, and you can find these online as well, even if you don't find someone, right? So it's important to know those job responsibilities and whether those excite you or not. If you have done your engineering and you think you are more of a management person, and I would want to learn how to do finance well, learn more about what that course entails and what people end up doing after doing that course, what they are doing after 10 years after they've done the course. Are you excited about that 10-year dream that you are setting up for yourself? So there are enough proofs available online. People have taken the same journey that you are trying to take. They are just a Google or a simple LinkedIn search away. Just search for those profiles who are going to do exactly what you are doing today. They have done it in the past, where they are today, and does that excite you or not? It's important that those things excite you, and then only you will be able to work towards that.
So
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
actually very
Yeah. Yeah.
insightful.
Very helpful actually.
Very.
So,
So, coming as students, we always have a fear of failing, maybe in exams or in any activity we do. So, I think the same goes for any idea for a startup.
so
So, did you have, like, when you started out, did you have that maybe this idea would fail, and how did you cope up with that?
yeah, I think fear of failure is not something to ignore. It is something to cherish, in my opinion. If you don't have a fear of failure, you will not work hard enough. Uh, if you even ask any investor, they would say that I want my founders paranoid, because if they are paranoid, if they have fear of failure, they would be on their toes and they would constantly look for solutions, even to better their services or be better than their competitors. But I think if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to cherish or need to start. You need to learn to cherish your fear of failure, not run away from it. You will have a lot of them. You will have to go through a grind. There is no other way. You hear a lot of stories of success all around, but I can guarantee you every success story, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. You think it's an overnight thing, but that person has spent 10 years in the background to be in that place, and they have faced multiple failures. You just can't ignore or avoid them. Just have to embrace them and learn from it and implement those learnings. Um, so I'm sure there are enough stories that you can read up on why it is important. And that's why, like, when we talk about these events, these opportunities that come during the college times as well, they teach you how to be ready for failure, right? Because whatever you plan, it's not going to go as per the plan. How do you deal with that? What do you learn and how do you change the next time you do the same thing? That's the cycle that you need to train your mind on and start cherishing it.
So basically,
What
what
you
we're trying to
said,
say is like it's not important what kind of failure it is, it's important what you do after that failure. Is that right?
100%.
I just remembered a thing that I had heard with what you said. Like, if you want to be successful in something, it's not important to hear the success stories. It's more important to hear the failure stories in that field. So you
Yeah.
would know what mistakes not to do.
Yeah. And at the same time, it's important to know that people are not going to talk about failures. They're going to talk about success. So be focused on that as well. At the end, you want success for yourself, but don't discount the failures. That's all I'm saying.
Talking about success,
Mhm.
there's always a moment of satisfaction, like you have achieved everything in the world when you in your journey. But can you describe a particular moment in which you felt, "Bas, this is it"?
Well, you get a lot of those moments along the way, but you don't feel like you are done with it. You always want more, and that's the nature of the problem. That problem that I have also discussed, that we want to give engineers that fixed path, that framework through which they can grow, get accelerated growth, and have that dream. I don't think there will be an end to this journey. We'll just constantly be improving this. So there will be milestones along the way. There have been milestones in the past. You celebrate them and go for further improvements. The world is changing significantly. You have to make sure your solutions also adapt as quickly as the world is.
Okay, so I think we have covered most of the part. Coming to an
Yeah.
end, we have a very fun
Uh,
segment, this or
Okay.
that. So Arch will take you to that segment.
Okay.
yeah. So this is a this or that segment where you have to. I will give you two options and you have to select either one of them.
Okay.
Uh, so the first question I will ask you is like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs.
Bill Gates.
Uh, could you elaborate on that? Why Bill Gates and not Steve Jobs?
Uh, I personally feel more connected to Bill Gates because of uh, I don't have a similar background, but the background that he had everything with him. Yet he was really passionate about changing the world with Microsoft. He was the golden spoon in the mouth, yet he changed the world. And he's today as well, even after retiring from Microsoft with his Bill Gates Foundation, he is
Yeah.
continuously creating significant impact. This is not to discount what Steve Jobs has done. I think rather I'm more of a Steve Jobs kind. I'm more passionate. I'm not that calm when it comes to the kind of milestones around here. But there's more to learn from from Bill Gates for myself. That's why I chose Bill Gates.
So the next question is, are you a mountain person or a beach person?
I think I'm a beach person.
Yeah. So football or cricket?
Football.
So now this is a very important question: Messi or Ronaldo?
I I love both of them actually. I would say
But what would you say like when you were a kid? Obviously, there was always this comparison, and even in our friend groups also. Like this is a Messi group, this is a Ronaldo group. So what group were you part of? Like what guy you supported?
so it's very similar to how it's Federer versus Nadal.
Oh yeah,
One person is gifted and one person is just so hardworking. that they both are brilliant. I wouldn't want to support one versus the other. I think both are great at where they are. Messi is gifted, so he does play great, and Ronaldo is just so hardworking. Like even after achieving so many trophies, he continues to break his own records. That's not easy to
Yeah.
have that kind of motivation
Yeah,
continuously in your
like
life.
as many people say, there's a lot of things you can learn from sport. Like if you look at these two guys' journeys, it's like
Yeah,
you guys can like learn a lot from like not you guys. I mean, in general, people can learn a lot from their journeys. Like
totally.
I'm a Messi fan. So as you said, he's gifted. So I don't like when people call him gifted, but I get your perspective. But
No,
yeah,
I'm not saying he's not hardworking. He does work hard. You just being gifted is not enough.
yeah.
Um, but they both play so well
And
that
to
I
be at the
don't.
top for like 20 years, yeah, that's
Correct,
very
right?
difficult.
Very difficult. They have achieved something that most of the people can just dream of. But to have that kind of persistent passion, even at that level, it is commendable. I think we both should cherish their journey. We all should cherish their journey
Yeah,
instead of comparing them. That's how I would
yeah.
put it.
Yeah, so just to end this Messi versus Ronaldo thing is like for some people it's like to win one trophy it's like okay. So as I said before, like these guys have been doing it for 20 years. So would you say like an entrepreneur or a person who is like doing a startup would like resonate with their story because working hard and having that perseverance and having focus on that one goal and doing everything in your life according to that so that you can achieve that one goal. Would you say that's like what you resonate to?
Definitely, there are just too many stories to take inspiration from when it comes to sport. Any sport you take. Uh, So there and Messi and Ronaldo are no exceptional. There are so many ways in which they can inspire you, and you need to keep finding these inspirations. I don't think these inspirations are limited to sports. They are everywhere. You need to turn yourself into a
Yeah.
recipient of these inspirations, and every person you meet, every client you have, every customer you have, they will give you some sort of inspiration, and whatever experience you get, you will have a learning out of it.
So yeah, as you said, like you can get inspired from different fields. So just before I joined this podcast, I was listening to Indra Nayoi. I guess that's her surname. Like she was the chairman and the president of PepsiCo, and she was an Indian woman
Correct.
who did it, and she was, I guess, the one of the first ones. So
Correct.
yeah, like to listening to her speech, like it was so inspirational to hear what of the challenges she went through and what of the barriers she had to break down. So yeah,
Yeah, I would highly recommend that you read these accounts of people who have made it, who have changed the world. One of the things I regret, I think I had to do all over again. I would read more. Uh, the books are your best ways to get mentors. So
yeah.
yeah, that's great. You are already doing that. So mm, that's
So
great
the
to
next
hear.
question is a financial question, which is 50 lakhs today or 10 lakhs for your next 5 years.
Oh, it would definitely be 50 lakhs today.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's the simple time value of money, right? If you have 50 lakhs today, you can grow that into 50 crores. But if I have 10 lakhs
Yeah,
every,
actually, so this question I found it off the net. So yeah, most of the like inspirational speakers use this question. So what I have heard is that they say that like 50 lakhs right now might be not 50 lakhs. The same 50 lakhs you invest in something might not be same in the next 5 or 10 years. But if you get 10 lakhs, 10 lakh every year, I actually, you know what, you are right, actually. Yeah, 50 lakhs,
I
yes,
think
yes, yes.
he just
Yeah, I just
spoke the
confused myself.
opposite.
While I was talking through it, I confused myself. Yeah, you are right, actually. 50 lakhs
but
today.
even if you give me 20 lakhs every year versus 50 lakhs today, I would still pick 50 lakhs because I know my capability to go 50 lakhs
Yeah, yeah,
into
yeah,
5
yeah.
crores.
You are right.
So
I'm going to edit this part out.
Let's say a
So,
general answer, give me 10 lakhs today, will make it 50 lakhs till the next 10
yeah, yeah,
lakh
that's what I was
arrives.
going for, and I didn't know what I was saying. Okay.
Okay,
So,
so
yeah,
coming to the conclusion, I will have to say that this is the end of the segment and sadly this episode. We
yeah,
would like to thank Maulik for spending his time with us, and it was really insightful talking to you. You can follow him on all the social media links are mentioned in the caption below. Thank you.
Thank you, Maulik,
Thank you,
and
everyone.
thank you so